Welcome to episode 2, season 2 of the Filmmaker Film Watcher podcast. I'm filmmaker Richard D. Gregorio.
I was wondering who you were. I'm Greg Ralph. I'm the Film Watcher.
This week we have got 3 guilty pleasure films.
So these are films that we take joy in watching, but wouldn't necessarily admit to in public, although this is about as public as I think we can get.
Absolutely. Look, the first film we're going to be reviewing is the 1981 Mel Brooks comedy, History of the World Part 1.
And then we're going to talk about High School Musical, the Disney classic from 10 years ago.
And then we are going to review the 1995 film Showgirls.
And I think one important thing before we get into this, Ricardo, is laying down the ground rules. So when we talk about a film that I particularly like,
yes,
it's important that in your critique, you're judging the film, not me.
No, that's fine.
Even though I'll be judging you entirely to the 2 films that you chose.
Well, let's start with...
Well, I can't wait to hear how you're going to give a synopsis of a film that's about the history of the world, but look, go for it.
That's fine. So, History of the World Part 1. Like him or not, Mel Brooks is a comedy legend. Not only a great comedic performer, he directed the classic films The Producers, Blazing Saddles, Young Frankenstein, High Anxiety, Silent Movie, and of course this 1981 film History of the World Part 1. Like an earlier, more adult version of Horrible Histories, this is history seen through Mel Brooks's eyes. We begin at the Stone Age, then move to the Old Testament, then the Roman Empire, the Last Supper, a musical version of the Spanish Inquisition, then finally to the French Revolution. Mel Brooks plays a lot of characters here, from Moses to King Louis to the Spanish Inquisitor, Torquemada. With some great cameos by Gregory Hines, Dom DeLuise as the hilarious Julius Caesar, Madeline Kahn, Pamela Stevenson, the great Spike Milligan, and even Orson Welles as the narrator, this is still a hilarious film. Comically dated a bit, yes, but still raises a smile. What did you think, Greg?
Well, it's interesting that you reference it to Horrible Histories, because I found myself thinking of Monty Python while I watched it.
Yeah.
So during the Roman Empire scenes, I was thinking of The Life of Brian. Mm-hmm. And during some earlier parts, I was thinking of Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Mm-hmm. And I think they did it better with Monty Python. I saw this film when it first came out a long time ago, and my main memory of it was being bored. Laughing at one,
really?
Yeah, laughing at one joke in the whole thing, which is when Spike Milligan falls on the floor and says, "Some fool put carpet on the wall."
Ooh, yeah. Put that carpet on the wall.
But otherwise, I just remember being really bored and remembering that line because it was the only thing that I really enjoyed. Now, I watched it again the other night.
Yes.
It wasn't much better. Mel Brooks, there's some things he does that I really like. I really like High Anxiety. Mm-hmm. It's a long time since I've seen Blazing Saddles. I think I liked it. I think I need to go and watch that again.
Yeah.
And I like The Producers. I mean, I really like The Producers, the original film. And, of course, he was very involved with Get Smart, and I love Get Smart, even though it's not a movie. But there are other films he makes where I kind of go, oh, yeah, you know. And this is one of them. I just felt... a lot of the humour was tired, and I found myself thinking about what you said in our last Christmas special about Scrooged, where you said this is a film that, you know, might have been funny in its time, but comedy has moved on since then.
Look, let me give you a bit.
So this is obviously my revenge to Scrooged.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, look, let me put it into context of why I love the film. I mean, I first saw the film when I think I was about 10 or 11, okay? So I was allowed to watch the film. I watched it. We laughed at Julius Caesar farting. All the comedic elements there I still find funny. When Moses has got, given unto you these 15, and he drops the stone and says, 10 commandments.
See, I didn't think that was funny, but I did think it was funny when Moses was part of the Red Sea in the French Revolution part, and hold his arms up in the air, and the waters part, and then you find out it's because he's being held up.
And
that was funny, but the moments were too few and far between for me. But what you're saying is one of my centrally held beliefs about film, which is often the film is as much about the context in which you see it,
absolutely, as
the film itself.
Yes.
And I don't have that context for this film.
But let me tell you, it still holds up. I hadn't seen it for a very long time, but in terms of its production values, it's got very, very, very good production values for each part of history. That still holds up. Rome looks awesome.
Oh, look, it does. But, they spent $11 million on it.
They did, but
with Monty Python, they spent £240,000 for that.
Yeah.
And then $4 million US on Life of Brian. So, $11 million against that at about the same time. Why wouldn't it look great? The secret passage door in the Roman temple It just looked
exactly.
good.
It looks great. I really loved the Spanish Inquisition section. I thought that was really well directed and performed and choreographed. It was like this Busby Berkeley style musical, which I thought was really great.
That's the only part of the film I watched with somebody else.
Yes.
So my teenage son wandered in the room and watched that section of the film with me.
Yes.
And he liked it, and I liked it. I'm not sure if I liked it because I liked it or because I was watching it with him. But yeah, there were parts in the film. I did like the Inquisition song. I liked that Moses joke.
Yes.
I liked comment about, we defeated the Cretans at Sparta. No, we defeated the Spartans at Crete.
Oh, Crete, yes.
Occasionally things like that.
Sic Transit Gloria. I didn't know Gloria was sick.
To me that was a really that's a schoolboy joke.
It is. And there's
why reward Brooks for putting that into a film?
There's a few Thai jokes in there. Look, when he says, "Takamata." Let's face it, you can't talk him out of anything.
I thought that one was funny.
Yeah, that is funny, but it is a Thai joke. I can see their Thai jokes. And like I said, it is dated, but I think it still raises a smile, and I still think Mel Brooks can carry the film quite well.
Look, he is a very charming performer.
He is.
And he sings well. At one point, listening to him sing, I found myself thinking of Gene Kelly. I thought the voice was not unlike Gene Kelly's. So he's a charming performer. And sometimes there are bits that just held together really well. I really enjoyed the whole Last Supper sequence.
Oh, how... Now, that's an amazing sequence.
Did you see who played Jesus?
Who played Jesus?
It was John Hurt.
It was John Hurt.
Did you see Nigel Hawthorne, Sir Humphrey Appleby?
Which one was he?
He was the guy saying next to the execution at the guillotine.
Was he?
So part of the joy, again, was seeing faces that I didn't know
Okay, I didn't know that either. I've seen
John
it many
Hurt
times.
makes a great Jesus.
Yeah, he does.
So
what?
He was so kind of almost ethereal.
He was, yeah.
While Mel Brooks is standing there saying, "Jesus, what?"
Oh, I loved it when he said, he says, "Hey, so you say one of you has betrayed me on this night," and they go, "Who?" And he goes, "Judas."
What? Do you want the soup?
Would you like the mulled wine? It's terrific.
There were parts. So and there are whole stretches was kind of watching the clock on the DVD player, thinking, "Oh, come on, move along."
The French Revolution's quite funny. I quite love the French. Count the money.
Yeah, well, look, Harvey Korman's always a delight to watch.
He is, yes.
And I liked a couple of jokes when you first saw Cloris Leachman as Madame Defarge, who was so poor. Not only did she have no wool for knitting, but kept knitting her needles, but they were so poor they couldn't afford a language. They only these, outrageous French accents where we all sound like Maurice Chevalier.
That's funny.
Yeah, but my problem is the spatterings of stuff across it.
Yes.
But as a film, not only do I think Monty Python got it right, I think 10, 15 years prior, A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum.
Mm-hmm, yes.
Was, I think, a better film. Now, it went to a different genesis of how it got created.
But I still think Mel Brooks has a certain style of comedy, and I still think...
Well, he does, but I don't always like it.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Well, if you... It's like people still love Benny Hill, but he's still very outdated, right? But I think...
Well, it's not just being outdated. I think that's certainly true. And, the lingering cleavage shots of the Vestal Virgins, I sort of thought...
Which that Hugh Hefner was in the...
Yeah, I saw Hugh Hefner. I just thought, oh, come on, really?
Madeline Kahn, she was wonderful in it.
No.
I love Madeline Kahn in it. She makes me laugh. Yes, no, yes. It's a classic scene.
No. I'm a bit funny about Madeline Kahn as well. There were parts in it, but I think part of the problem is that where he really lost me was either when it was really dated or just dumb jokes rather than clever jokes, or when he was really in the whole American Jewish humour.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, Woody Allen does that, and for some reason, I get that. I can enter into Woody Allen's world, but I feel like I can't really tap into the Mel Brooks world in that kind of cultural space. And so I just kind of go, oh, yeah.
One thing that really disappointed me when I was younger, when I was watching this, and it really disappointed me, I love the ending of this. I loved it when Mel Brooks plays the double of King Louis, and it's sort of at the very end when he's about to get his head cut off, and you had Gregory Hines, who's awesome in this. I really love Gregory Hines in this film. Comes in on a cart from the Roman Empire, and Mel Brooks says, "What are you doing all the way here from the Roman Empire?" And he says, "Well, movies is magic." Well, okay. I love that because look, they do that whole thing in Blazing Saddles at the very end. It's like they really make fun of we're in a movie.
Yes,
and he does it in the in King Louis's palace as well. And he runs away. He's running away from the revolution.
Yeah, up that corridor.
And up the corridor, and it sort of goes upward. And he goes, "Who designed this place?"
Well, see, that was a good gag.
Yeah.
And Gregory Hines, like Mel Brooks, is a very charming performer. But for me, the problem was the script.
Yeah,
great sets, by and large, great performers, but there's just not enough there to engage me.
I'll tell you
With all
what-
respect to your 10-year-old self.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. But I think the very end of it, when you get History of the World Part 2, the trailer for History of the World Part 2, I waited for that film for years. For years and years. When are they bringing out History of the World Part 2? I look out, try and find it. I could not find it anywhere.
Mel Brooks is still alive, you never know.
No, but it was a joke. They weren't going to do that.
Yeah, I
But
got it.
Hitler on Ice, Jews in Space. Oh, I found that quite funny as
Yeah,
well.
the Inquisition song reminded me of Springtime for Hitler.
Well, yeah.
So while I enjoyed it, I sort of thought also, I think you've done this.
Yeah, I think so too. Look, what are you going to give this?
With all due respect to your...
I can watch this
your
anytime. That's why
10-year-old?
it's a guilty pleasure for me. I can watch History of the World Part 1 anytime and just put it on and just have a good little chuckle.
And in terms of what this episode is about, we have to respect that.
Yeah.
But for me, it was a 4.
Okay, that's okay.
And for you?
For me, I'm going to give it a 6. Okay, I'm not going to give it... It's not up there. It's not a classic. But I think Mel Brooks has made better films. I think Blazing Saddles, the producers, like the films I mentioned before, are all better films. But still, this one, I've got a place in my heart for it. But anyway, I'll give it a 6.
Okay, so now it's my turn to step into the confessional of guilty pleasures with High School Musical. You may remember the 1978 musical Grease. Boy meets girl while away from home on high school vacation, revealing his softer side as he falls in love. Then he goes back to school and hangs out with all the other guys, only to discover that she's transferred to his school for the new term. And as a result, he has to juggle his old, crowd-pleasing persona with the new aspects that she has brought out in him, all while everyone sings and dances. Jump forward 28 years, add a few modern elements like mobile phones and parents, and you've got this highly successful Disney musical. And there are other changes too. Our hero Troy, played by Zac Efron, is a basketball star rather than a cool car-loving dude. And interestingly, Gabriella, Vanessa Hudgens, doesn't have to totally reinvent herself to get the guy. This 2006 telemovie was highly successful for Disney, so that High School Musical 3 made $250 million off an $11 million budget. That's not bad. No. It spawned 2 sequels, High School Musical 2 and, funnily enough, 3, and launched similar Disney franchises and quite possibly the Glee TV series that came out just after High School Musical 3. I also think this is the first TV movie that we've reviewed so far. It's my guilty pleasure because there's a lot of cookie-cutter filmmaking that's going on here. And yet I love to watch it, and many of its peer films from Disney & Co, because it's full of the special joy that musicals bring me as people transition from, normal daily situations into song and dance. But Ricardo, preferably without singing and dancing, what did you think?
Okay, you know how I feel about musicals most of the time. Okay, I'm not a massive fan of musicals. I can see why this series was successful. Look, I must say, I was looking at the clock a little bit during this movie. I wasn't really getting into it. It took me a little while to get into it, to tell you the truth. I was sitting there just going, oh my God, what has Greg got me to watch?
Oh, wait till we get to Showgirls.
Right? And then we kept it going, and I think Zac Efron and Gabriella,
Vanessa Hudgens,
were very likeable, and I could see why they became why especially he became a star as well. They both became quite big from it, so I can see why it was successful. And yes, right, it is a telemovie, and it's quite interesting because they have like fade outs where the commercials would be. They've like in the movie. I don't think they realised it was going to be such a success as what it was, because why would you do that? They like had fade outs which in odd places where I thought that's going to go to a commercial break and then it fades up again. But I didn't really get into the actual music, the musical numbers. Some of the ones were better than others, and when they sang together, that was fine. But then those big set pieces, like in the gym, what was that song called?
Get Your Head in the Game.
Oh,
I see. That's where I thought it took off.
Oh no, I couldn't stand that song.
No, I liked it because
Get your head in the game. Oh,
yeah, but I like the rhythm of the basketballs going backwards and forwards. I thought, I get this. This is syncopation. So the first song, I'm kind of like, yeah. But the 3 songs I really like in it, I like Get Your Head in the Game. I don't love it, but I like it. I really love the one in the cafe about, stick to what you know. When people are making confessions and so on. My younger son really loves that song.
Yeah.
But although I have to say, I was struck about the need to suspend, disbelief, because this stoner skateboard guy is admitting to his friends that he likes to play the cello, and at one point he gets out and plays it. I'm thinking, they've never noticed him lugging around this big cello case.
Big cello case. Yeah.
But, it's a musical. It's not meant to be in reality.
I know, and it is. It's so light and airy, and you got the bad girl who wants to be the lead in the show, and look,
I like Sharpay and Ryan.
Yeah, I think they're actually quite good. They're actually good performance.
Yeah.
They're
so kind of jazz hands Broadway.
There's a difference there because usually they would be quite average, but they're actually quite good performers. They're very good. I don't know. It's not my genre. I can see why it was successful, but it's just not my.
Look, I think it's perfectly targeted. I'm not the demographic they're aiming for.
Not, and you know what? I think when my son gets a bit older and he starts watching these films a lot more, I might really enjoy them with him. But right now, I was watching it going, "Oh, jeepers! Do I really have to watch this?" But that's just me. I just don't think it's not my genre. It's not my film. That I can see that it was well made. I see it was well choreographed, and I can appreciate the work that's gone into that and the efforts.
Yeah. Well, you know that I chose this film almost as being emblematic of a range of films, just that we thought that people would know High School Musical better. Rock Camp came after High School Musical. I've seen the first one of those. Teen Beach Movie, which I think is really, really good. Not a great film, but I think it's better than High School Musical. I really like because the narrative is a bit more creative. You've got these two modern teenagers who are dumped by this mysterious wave in Hawaii into a 1960s beach movie and then start to influence what's happening in the film. Not a great narrative, a bit of hamming around and so on. But I like these innocent Disney musicals. I don't think they actually kissed until the very end, did they?
No, they didn't.
They came very close. Did they kiss at the end?
I don't actually think they did.
I'm not sure they did either. It's a very chaste Disney musical. But I just like the... I know there's a lot of mechanical stuff happening behind the scenes in terms of, plot writing and casting and marketing and God knows what else.
Of course.
But I also like the joie de vivre that you get in that kind of thing. And
I understand that. And I must say, there was some times where I thought, no, this is okay. It's, some songs I was enjoying. The end, I felt really nice when they got up and they're saying that song at the very end.
Yeah, and that's the third song I like, yes.
Yeah, so I did enjoy parts of it. And thought that they were really charming, those two leads. But otherwise, I thought it's no Grease.
No, it's not. Well, I think Grease is a bit tired as well.
No,
the songs are good, but
I
the film...
that. No, I rewatched it again. I really love Grease.
Okay, but and it hadn't struck me till this time around how much this plot really was Grease rebadged. It's interesting. But I go back to the definition at the start of this episode where I said, a guilty pleasure is a film which gives you pleasure, but you wouldn't necessarily say to everyone, hey, go and look at this great film. Because I wouldn't have High School Musical, but I enjoy it.
And I understand that. And I understand that to me, it's a well-made film for its market and its genre. So I appreciate it for those reasons. It's not just because I didn't get much out of it. Does it mean that it's badly made or anything like that? I still think the screenplay and the direction and everything is very competently made and marketed to its audience. So I think in doing that, they've done it very well. So I'm going to give it, on the basis of that, a 7.
Really?
Yeah, it's a success for that reason.
That's funny because I gave it a 6.
Oh, wow.
I think it's very good at what it does, and that's why I would rate it relatively highly. But it doesn't come into, if I talk about like the broad audience for this film, for a film, I don't think it gets into that kind of 7-8 range for me. But I have to say, while you were saying that, I'm getting this sensation that this is less a podcast episode and more therapy.
Just a little bit.
Thanks, Doc.
So the third film we are going to talk about is Showgirls. Paul Verhoeven, the Dutch director of classic sci-fi films RoboCop, Total Recall, the Schwarzenegger version, Starship Troopers, and also the fantastic thriller Basic Instinct and war drama Black Book, made this award-winning 1995 film. Showgirls follows hopeful dancer Nomi Malone, Elizabeth Berkley, in her quest to become a showgirl in Vegas, a place that's not so kind to her after she has her bag stolen on arrival. She lands a job at a seedy strip bar, and things begin to look up when she meets a showgirl seamstress, Molly, Gina Rivera, who gives her a place to stay. Molly gives Nomi an inn at a high-class hotel she works at. Nomi gets to meet the star of their major show, Goddess, named Crystal Connors, Gina Gershwin, and the two strike up a spiteful relationship. Anyhow, Nomi secures an audition, steals the lead role from Crystal by pushing her down the stairs, becomes the toast of the town before morally deciding that she doesn't want that life anymore and leaves Vegas. Look, Paul Verhoeven is a very good filmmaker. I've admired his work for a long time. His films usually come with some sort of controversy. He has been a filmmaker that's not afraid to push boundaries, which makes Showgirls quite a weird experience. Now, it's a guilty pleasure because even though this is an absolute stinker of a film, it's become a cult classic because of how bad it is. From the near bipolar performance of Elizabeth Berkley to the woeful script by Joe Esteharis, with lines I really can't repeat in a family setting, to the very bad and kitsch dance routines and one crazily bad sex scene in a pool, one begins to think if Verhoeven is actually having a laugh on us. It was apparently meant to be a realistic take on the industry, but one wonders how such a good director could allow it all to happen as it does. And by award-winning, I mean it picked up 16 Razzie Awards. Okay, Greg, what did you think?
Well, I've got news for Paul Verhoeven. I think this time the boundaries pushed back. I sat there the whole time thinking, well, I can see where the guilt is. I just can't work out where the hell the pleasure is in this film. I think
it's so
this
bad.
is, without doubt, one of the worst films I've ever seen in my life.
It's pretty bad, isn't it?
I can't even laugh about it. You described her performance as bipolar for Elizabeth Berkley. I sat there thinking, I feel like I'm watching a rubber doll be moved through these scenes. And that sex scene you're talking about where she's thrashing across the surface of the pool while
Kyle MacLachlan.
While intimately involved with Kyle MacLachlan, and there went his career. I sat there thinking, this guy is so coked up, he doesn't realise that he's in front of a woman having an epileptic fit on the surface of the pool.
It's a bit like that, isn't it?
I mean, I just sat there thinking, all these naked bodies and not a hint of eroticism.
Not one little iota.
No, I think there was one. There was one scene I thought, okay, I think this is actually has some very erotic elements to it. And it's when she was with, is it the guy James, who keeps trying to get her to be in his dance number?
Yes.
When she seduces him on the chair in his apartment.
Yes.
I actually thought that was well done. Mm. And I found parts of that erotic, but in such stark contrast to anything else sexual in the film. And for me, the film came down to one quote from this character, James, and I'm going to give the whole quote if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it.
He says to Nomi at one stage, "You don't want to be in this kind of show. What you're doing, at least it's honest. They want tits and ass, you give them tits and ass. Here they pretend they want something else, and you still show them tits and ass." And I think that's what the film was. The film is trying to be something bold and provocative, and you get all these actors coming out of TV series. So Kyle MacLachlan must have been coming out of Twin Peaks at that stage. The guy who was the director of the show was fresh out of LA Law. Elizabeth Berkley,
Saved by the Bell,
trying to redefine her career, and I think she certainly achieved that. But you've got all these people who are saying lots of naughty words, starting with F and P and C and all those obvious candidates, and being really bold because, you see full-on female nudity. And I was struck yet again by the double standard. You get to see Kyle MacLachlan's bum, but you get to see everything of Elizabeth Berkley and the Crystal character and others. And so I was also struck by this real, almost misogynistic double standard.
Oh, absolutely.
And there was nothing, I just sat there thinking, no, the only things I enjoyed, I thought Molly wasn't bad until it got to this kind of almost tokenistic full-on rape scene.
Ridiculous. I mean,
it came out of nowhere.
It comes out of absolutely nowhere, and why have it there?
Oh, so that Elizabeth Berkley can then be kind of this avenging angel who kickboxes,
But it's completely unrealistic, I think. Apparently it was based on a story which the writer had heard about what happened there, but I still think they set it up badly.
It was totally unbelievable, but I quite liked Molly. I liked Nomi's pink fringe dress at the start. I liked about her. But I did like the Crystal character, and I want to see more about her.
Well, Gina Gershon is a great actor.
Well, I don't know if anything else, but I kept looking at her and thinking Rita Hayworth.
Yeah.
I thought she was very interesting as an actress.
Well, Gina Gershon in most things I really liked.
What else has she been in?
She's been in Bound, which is the Wachowski siblings film, one of the early films before The Matrix. The Player.
Oh, okay.
Red Heat.
Okay, so I thought she had it in front of the camera. And I don't think she was given a great part to play, but I really...
That end scene where she goes into the hospital and, they have this lovely moment together.
No, I actually couldn't really understand their relationship. I sort of did, and I really didn't. The Naomi character who, as you say, starts off getting her suitcase stolen, but then magically gets a lift out of town from the same driver, which you just knew was going to happen.
Of course you did.
Because that's the level of maturity of, conceptualisation of the story. And when Molly rescues her the first time from almost getting run over, and did they almost kiss? And I just thought that was like 6 minutes in or something, and it just totally lost me. And I thought,
and then
what is this?
Then she has the fries incident.
Oh, and she smothers them in tomato sauce. In an orgy of fury or something.
They took this movie off. Now, so let's talk about the dance sequences in here and how bad they are.
Oh, they were the best part of the movie.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm not being serious.
Yeah, no. They were very bad. They were like some throwback to something. I don't know. They were pretty bad, but they took it off in Chasing Amy, which is the Kevin Smith film.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I know what you mean.
Silent Bob says, "Didn't you know I used to be a dancer in Vegas?" And does the whole hands movement.
Okay, that speaks more to Chasing Amy than it does to Showgirls.
Well, Chasing Amy is a much better film. It's a good movie, Chasing Amy.
All right.
Whereas Showgirls is just not. But again, I remember reading a review of Showgirls in the Empire magazine, and they gave it 0 stars / 5 stars.
Okay.
As this is really bad, but it's so bad it's good. Sometimes you can watch it and
see,
you get.
I almost knew you were going to say that
Yeah.
when I was watching the film, and I don't think it's that. I just think it's so bad that it's bad. I'm sorry. There is no way I'll ever watch this film again. I'm seriously tempted to burn the DVD that I watched it on. I'm certainly going to give it away if anybody will take it. I don't want to see it again.
I wonder
when the monkeys got loose in the dressing room.
Yeah.
I thought, okay, they're throwing in some sort of odd hijinks here. Or when you suddenly discover that one of the dancers is a mother and the other dancer's rude about her children to make the girl cry, and so then the mother throws the baubles out on the stage so she breaks her hip. It's like, where did that come from? There's no sense that there was any kind of parent in this troupe, and suddenly it's there just so you can have that incident. It was so badly done. It's not good. It's not good.
No, look, it surprised me a lot when I saw it to think Paul Verhoeven is a really accomplished filmmaker. He's very, very good, and a lot of his movies have become classics for good reasons because they are very good.
I don't think I've even heard of. Was it Black Book?
Black Book is amazing. Yeah,
I don't know it.
Yeah, it's very good. It's a drama. It's set back in Netherlands.
Are they all dressed?
Well, some.
Paul, you need to get out more.
Amazingly, look, he does like nudity in some of his films, but look, he did Basic Instinct for goodness sake, But
that had that whole misogynistic story about that scene where they didn't tell Sharon Stone they would be filming under a skirt. I mean, I don't know the man, Paul Verhoeven, but I have to say I'm not inclined to.
But those films are much. I mean, you've seen Total Recall and RoboCop, right?
Yep.
And what did you think of those films?
I like Total Recall. RoboCop was all right, but that's more your kind of film than mine.
So I think it's a bit of a classic of sci-fi. But what I'm trying to get at is he's an accomplished filmmaker who doesn't make those. I don't know how he directed those performances that way. I think he could have got a much better performance out of Elizabeth Berkley. I can't believe that he was actually saying action. She was putting in that performance and he was saying, cut, awesome work, Elizabeth. That is wonderful. Let's move on.
He was probably saying, more sauce, more sauce.
I really don't. I don't know whether he's having a laugh because I don't know how we could direct those performances that way because in any other movie I've seen him do, all the performances are never that bad. So is it just her or was it direction? I don't know. It's quite a weird one for me.
But come on, who was good in the film? Molly, I think, did well with her part. I think Crystal did well with her part. Kyle MacLachlan was phoning it in.
Yeah.
The guy from LA Law playing, was it something Moss, the show director, said rude words and tried to make it seem like he was very edgy.
But you know what? This is what I really... This is... Now, I haven't been to Vegas.
Who acted well on this?
Yeah. I haven't been to Vegas. I have no real want to go to Vegas. So it's not one of those places where I go, God, I got to go to Vegas. It's not that... I'm not that big on the town. I love LA, I love New York, I love the San Fran, but Las Vegas, not that big on.
No, it doesn't call to me.
But I think what Paul Verhoeven was probably trying to do is make this film which is sort of makes fun of such a artificial place.
Then he didn't know how to do it because that's not what he did. I think this is a good case of what happened in Vegas should have just stayed in Vegas. I'm sorry. There was one line that made me laugh, and that's when she goes and buys the very nice dress and tell everyone she bought it from Versace.
Versace. But that made me cringe. I was thinking, no, she would know that. She's a dancer. She'd know that.
Well, I'm not sure that her brain was particularly working, I'm sorry.
But I could see the writer going, oh, that's funny,
Well, that made me smile, and it was the only thing in the whole film that did.
Or when you hated it so much.
And even when you finally find out her deep, dark secret, which I've forgotten.
Well, she had felonies.
Her father did something.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so unmemorable. So even when you found that out and you're suddenly finding out the real her, does suddenly this raw, emotional, interesting character come out? No.
No.
Look, this film stinks. It really stinks.
It does stink. I told you it was a stinker. I did say it was a stinker.
So where's the pleasure? Is this the so bad it's good thing?
It's a so bad it's a good thing, yes. I find myself coming back to it just for a bit of a laugh.
I still love you. But this film...
And the thing is, it has become a cult following. It did so well on video. It made over 100 million on video, and it did very well there. And it has a cult following. I watched a 20-year anniversary with Elizabeth Berkley talking about it, and this massive crowd watching it, just going, "Naomi, yay!" And it's got a cult following because of how bad it is.
Is that because you made other people buy it as well?
I don't know, but. It does have that cult status.
So, tell me, what are you giving this?
Look, I'm giving it 2 out of 10. It's a stinker of a movie, but to me, it still is a bit of a guilty pleasure. It makes me laugh a bit.
Well, I'm giving it half a mark.
Half out of 10.
I'm not sure we give halves, but...
That's our first half.
Well, I'm giving it a half because I liked the woman who played Crystal. I liked the pink fringe dress that Naomi wore. I just thought that had a bit of character, had more character than she did. So it's half a mark, and I'm feeling generous doing that. Sorry.
Look, you know what? It's worth an experience just to experience Showgirls.
No, don't watch it. Don't watch it. Don't get conned into it by Ricardo. Don't bother.
It's worth just a look. Look, you know what? This podcast is, I think, going to prompt people to just go, oh my God, let me have a look at it if I haven't seen it.
Look, spend your life looking for Mel Brooks' History of the World Part 2. Don't bother with Showgirls.
So, episode 3, we're going to delve into some really, I think, I'm really excited about this one, some really good films here, but with a special little twist to them. That they are
quite different films in their own way.
They are. But they are one-take wonders. These are films which have been done in one take, or seen to have been made in one take.
Mind you, it'll be a wonder if we can get through our podcast in one take. That's another story. So the 3 films that we're going to cover, I think in chronological order, will be Alfred Hitchcock's Rope, which is not actually one take, but it's set up that way. We'll talk about that, I'm sure.
We've got Russian Ark, which is made by Alexander Sokolov.
Yes, and then finally, a film from only, about 2 years ago, which is Birdman with Michael Keaton and a host of other people.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting array of films to talk about.
And hopefully not just about the fact it's a one-take film, but as films in their own right. But yeah, it's an interesting kind of almost conceit that modern filmmakers in particular like that we can talk about.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one.
All right, well, see you folks at One Take Wonders.